Welcome to The Musical Show. I'm Sarah, and today is all about the Revue. This musical theater origin comes in two types, one of which is still performed today. A revue is a collection of separate songs, skits, and dances, performed in order and inspired by a single artist, organization, or idea. The first American revue was The Passing Show in 1894. As we assemble our timeline of musical theater, musical origins help us understand Broadway today. America's had a very problematic past, so the origins of musical theater aren't always pretty. We're going to do our best not to shy away from sexism or racism in this show. It's important to both understand how far we've come and to understand ways in which Broadway can still improve. Back to our timeline. Revue was created in reaction to two earlier musical theater origins, burlesque and vaudeville. Burlesques had a scandalous reputation for showing busty women alongside social satire. Vaudeville offered family-friendly entertainment, but there was little consistency between the show's 9 acts. Which would you pick, scandalous or random? Producer Florenz Ziegfeld Jr. had an answer for that. Early Revue came in two types, spectacular and intimate. With his Ziegfeld Follies, Florenz Ziegfeld perfected the spectacular Revue. Like burlesque, the Follies gave audiences women to ogle, but Ziegfeld's women were clothed in elaborate and sometimes very sheer costumes. Ziegfeld's shows promised class and decency. Like vaudeville, the Follies offered audiences comedians and novelty acts, but with an overarching expense and glamour that we still associate with Broadway to this day. Billie Burke, a famous actress and Ziegfeld's wife, said, "His genius was his towering ability, matching his color palette to his music, his comedy to his spectacle, until he produced a unique work of art. No one, indeed, ever knew how he accomplished it." Well, money helped. The Ziegfeld Follies were insanely successful. He released 21 editions between 1907 and 1931. In their first year, the Follies cost $13,000 to produce, and by 1927, they cost $289,000. I find it hard to even imagine this level of excess. According to historian Richard Kislin, in 1927, the Follies Act 1 climaxed with 14 pianos and 2 orchestras on stage, all arranged around a giant staircase. The full cast was on stage as well, decked out in white satin with fringes and plumes. Ziegfeld's money paid for elaborate sets, new songs by hit songwriters like Irving Berlin, Jerome Kern, and Victor Herbert, and performances by the best comedians of the day, W.C. Field, Eddie Cantor, and Fanny Brice. Brice, whose life inspired the 1963 musical Funny Girl, received rave reviews when she debuted in the 1910 Ziegfeld Follies. Who else was a smash hit in 1910? Comedian Burt Williams. Williams became the first black performer to headline in an otherwise all-white show. The story goes that cast members told Ziegfeld they would quit if he didn't fire Williams. Ziegfeld, who knew Williams had been a huge hit on vaudeville, supposedly told his employees, "I can replace every last one of you except the man you want me to fire." Ziegfeld paid Williams to perform in Blackface. Blackface, which was common at the time, and also not even a little bit okay, is a complex topic that really deserves its own web series. There's also lots to be said about Burt Williams, whose performances demanded audiences laugh and empathize with Black lives in America. And this was 1910. The first integrated play didn't appear on Broadway until 1917. And while we're talking about a problematic past, let's discuss how, even with all of these groundbreaking performers, comedian Will Rogers joked that Follies audiences didn't even attend to see the stars. He said, "Somebody has to do something while the girls change clothes, even if they don't have that much to change." The Ziegfeld girls were there to be ogled and objectified. Producer-director Harold Prince claims the whole thing was innocent and very American. Yes, the Ziegfeld Follies girls were clothed, but they didn't sing or dance. They stood still or paraded in a Ziegfeld walk with their arms outstretched. Ziegfeld girl Dana O'Connell explained that the walk was needed to balance out their enormous headpieces. The Earl Carroll vanities were one of many spectacular revues that arose in competition with the Ziegfeld Follies. Producer Earl Carroll spelled out the sexism that was mostly unspoken in the industry at the time. He said, "Girls are a commodity, the same as bananas, pork chops, or a lot in a suburban development." Yikes. I suspect the sexism in the spectacular Revue led directly into Broadway's obsession with the chorus girl. Today's incredibly talented choreans sing and dance, but we still expect them to look perfect and move in perfect unison. As the Ziegfeld Follies delighted audiences on Broadway, in 1919 the Greenwich Village Follies opened further downtown as the first ever example of an intimate revue. Intimate revues tended to be smaller than spectacular revues, but then that wouldn't take much. More importantly, intimate revues gained a reputation for being more witty, more personal, and more political. John Murray Anderson, who produced, directed, and wrote the Greenwich Village Follies, said his show offered an agreeable potpourri of youth, style, and distinction, something entirely different than the kind of heavy-handed extravaganzas that Mr. Ziegfeld produced on Broadway. I have no idea what he's talking about. Intimate revues allowed new talents to thrive. The Greenwich Village Follies launched the careers of dancer Martha Graham and composer-lyricist Cole Porter. When spectacular revues fell out of favor during the Great Depression, intimate revues hit their peak, and they're still popular today. Now you're most likely to see a revue as a university student performance or as a showcase of a work by a particular songwriter. Revues also inspired the format of concept musicals, which we discussed last episode. For his spectacular revues, Ziegfeld hired the best, and from 1915 on, that list included Viennese scenic designer Josef Urban. Ziegfeld said that he liked to turn Josef Urban loose with a ton of paint and a battery of colored lights. Urban was known for his pointillist painting and his innovative use of color and decorative lines. He helped to shape the American Art Deco style and served as the artistic director of the Metropolitan Opera House for 16 years. Urban designed more than 500 sets for more than 168 shows, many of which he directed over his lifetime. Among Urban's directing innovations is the in-one staging, where an actor or two performs in front of the curtain while the next set is being prepared behind. This tradition kept the show moving and saved audiences from having to wait while the next set was being prepared. In tribute, the stage lighting gel, Ross Kaluk's Urban Blue 81, is still named for him to this day. Have you ever performed in or watched a revue? What origins or shows would you like to know more about? Thanks for watching The Musical Show. If you enjoyed, please share and subscribe.
A pretty girl is like a melody.
Look, 14 pianos!